Hello and welcome to the Tech and Toast podcast. We simplify the way you buy and manage your hospitality tech. You can click through to techontoast.community where you can search our marketplace, attend our events, grab your free tech audit, and we will help you visualize your tech stack as you grow into 2024. Meanwhile, summer in Australia.
Hey, Lou, do you think we should sponsor the Tech on Toast podcast? I mean, I really like Chris and I really like what it's all about.
Yeah, I think that's a ripper idea, LP. It's a perfect fit for what we do at Red Cat.
I mean, I agree. I'm just not sure how we get our message across around like Red Cat specializing in multi-site groups, like cafe groups and fast casual groups and QSRs and all that.
Maybe we mention some of our customers like Nando's in Australia, New Zealand, the restaurants at the Aussie Open, Boost Juice International. I mean, they've got over 700 sites.
Hang on. I think that was the sponsors. This is the Tech on Toast podcast. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the next episode of Tech on Toast podcast. And today we're joined by Zal Dordi, Chief Commercial Officer at Slerp. How are you, Zal?
Very good. Chris, thanks for having me. Nice to meet you.
You are welcome. And we're here at Brewdog, and the light is fading, but the beer is still flowing here. As we notice, someone's got like a foot-long thing of beer we were just admiring, weren't we?
That's so wild. We need to get that after this.
And it's nice to have a regional accent from outside of the UK. Where are you from originally?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Silicon Valley in California. So I grew up
where the real tech people live.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Something like that. But no, I grew up in Palo Alto, California, which is just south of San Francisco. Actually went to high school across from Stanford University for what it's worth. So grew up there, obviously exposed very early to the tech scene just by virtue of proximity.
Yeah, geolocation was working at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, my very first job out of university was in the semiconductor industry, which is why Silicon Valley is called Silicon Valley.
There you go.
Because of the silicon-based semiconductor industry. But anyway, luckily found my way outside of that into food tech, specifically DoorDash. So I was one of the first 25 employees. DoorDash.
Yeah, that's a badge, isn't it, of honor you can wear?
It certainly nowadays, yes. At the time, I mean, when I joined, the office was a 2-bedroom house.
Really? That's great.
Yeah, and actually, so I, my first role was to run San Francisco as the GM for the market from day one, launched the market and ran it. And our headquarters was in Palo Alto, but our San Francisco satellite office was a studio apartment, not very large, and I lived out of that for about 6 months.
That gives hope to everyone, right? So if you're in a startup, maybe they were based in the right place at the right time, obviously, but if you're in a startup, it gives you real hope that actually might be a thing, right? That you're working out of a 2-bedroom apartment and end up being DoorDash.
I tell you what, out of my experience, has made me very optimistic about the world. So
I love that. And how did you end up in the UK?
Yeah, so I was at DoorDash for about 4 years. I ended up, basically running San Francisco, and then I ended up building out the business development function, which went after all the large enterprise restaurant brands in the U.S. From there, did my time at DoorDash and decided to move to Europe just on a whim. Went to get my MBA at INSEAD down in just outside Paris. From there, decided to join McKinsey & Company Management Consulting.
Yeah, very cool.
Did that for a couple of years. Messed around with my own thing for a little while, and then ended up finding my way to Slerp via some connections. Just putting me in touch with the founder JP, and he and I really gelled. So that's what brought me in.
He's a very cool guy. You seem like a cool guy. I can see where it works.
We're building a club.
Yeah,
cool guys club.
Can I join?
Yeah, you're welcome.
I've been left out so far. But you just dropped in Paris there, just briefly brushed over it. How long were you in Paris for?
I didn't even mention Singapore, but
stop it.
But Paris, yeah, I was there. It's a 1-year program, so spent about 8 months in Paris, but 2 months in Singapore. There's 2 campuses for the NCAD program, so you get to do an exchange. It
sounds horrific. I feel really bad for you.
Yeah, I tell you.
And obviously, you've come over here from America and your little travels around Europe, and now you ended up in the UK. Everyone's going to ask always, what are the big differences, I suppose, you see between the US and the UK? I've asked this to many people who've been on the podcast, but what's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally, like, the one thing that I've taken away is the customer obsession. And what I mean by that, like in the US, specifically comes from certain companies that, like Amazon and DoorDash. We basically ripped off Amazon for this, to be frank. Because Tony Xu, who's the CEO, is a huge sort of Bezos fan. But
standing on the shoulders of giants, my friend, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I tell you what, and he's done really well, by the way, Tony Xu. So, but yeah, that customer obsession, like thinking about what does my end customer really, really want. And that is, not to say that that doesn't exist in the UK. It obviously does. But I think there's just another level of it in the United States where you are just so hyper-focused on trying to understand, what does my customer want? Why do they want it? And how do I solve this problem for them? And it could be something that, you can do focus groups, right? And they'll tell you something. But you can't always get the right answer because the customer may not even know what they need, or they don't know what you're capable of providing. And this is a big thing that we did at DoorDash, and something we're really focused on at Slerp, which is trying to be hyper obsessed with our customer. In this case, it's for Slerp, it's our restaurant partners, but obviously with the sort of the extra layer of thinking about what do their customers want, what do their customers need, and that's obviously a quick and easy.
And is that something you have to keep bringing back into center every time? Keep reminding yourself that is why we're here, that is what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a leader within the business, that's sort of a thing that I will harp on almost on a daily basis, because I think it's just so important to remind ourselves, why are we here? Yeah. We are here to help restaurants own their online ordering and their direct channels, own their delivery, own their brand, and instead of having to sort of farm it out, elsewhere. You truly own it, and that's something that I think we all feel quite passionate about. Whether it's some of our folks who are came from hospitality, some of the folks who've like JP, our founder, who've built their own brand, Crosstown Donuts. That type of thing I think is front and center for how we think about the world every single day.
And the UK is quite a mature market in terms of tech. But is the US further ahead in any way, or is it nuances here and there?
Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble with this one. Either way, I don't know if I can answer correctly.
Well, you're in the UK now, my friend.
I think the answer. That's true. Touche. I think the answer though is it depends on what. So, sort of stepping outside of restaurants for a moment. If I look at in London where we're at, the Tube takes contactless payments, right? If you go do mass transit in the United States, there are very, very few mass transit systems. Are you saying
that the underground is actually better at something here than it is over? We don't. Just connection, Wi-Fi, stuff like that is shocking.
Yeah, but the alternatives sometimes. Really? Yeah, but so there. Excuse me.
Off topic, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, so for some things there are instances where the UK is actually much further ahead, and then at the same time, especially in the restaurant industry, there's obviously a lot of tech that's born out of the U.S. and then eventually gets rolled out abroad, and I think the U.S. does a good job of adopting it, mostly from the standpoint that, again, those businesses, if they're successful, they're generally customer focused. Yeah. They're customer obsessed. And so what that means is they're solving a real problem. And so naturally, their adoption rate is going to be much higher in a place where they're actually solving a real problem, not just trying to squeeze pennies out of some poor chip shop franchisee or chicken shop franchisee, right? So as at Slerp, right, we are trying to build a solution set, not a business per se. We're trying to build a solution set for hospitality and restaurants. So, we're obsessed with the customer, and we just need to make sure that we stay true to that if we're going to be successful.
The aggregators over in the US compared to what's happening over here in terms of food space, are there many differences, or is it quite a similar?
In terms of the overall offerings, I would say largely no. I think there's one thing that specifically there's been a difference in how they've tried to build their business, specifically DoorDash and I mean Uber Eats is here too, of course, but they've definitely tried to build themselves more as that logistics network, very much powering delivery and focused on the delivery.
Yes, that ecosystem. I think that's probably something we haven't done well over here. Not done well, but I think there's a lack of availability of riders, a lack of availability, and the way we pay them and whatever. I'm sure you've seen it all in the press and heard all about it.
Yeah, I mean, and part of it also is just a conscious choice. I think Deliveroo, just as an example, they have very much built their business around trying to be the brand. Yeah. They are the consumer-facing brand brand that, you as the consumer want to go out and get. DoorDash, the way we thought about it was we are these pipes, basically. We are the way that we'll get you the order, right? I mean, you, as I'm sure, most people who are listening to this probably have Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have Netflix because you love Netflix. You want it because the content that you have on Netflix.
Exactly.
Same with Disney Plus.
It's a marketplace, right?
Exactly, and it has the thing that you want, but it's a utility, really.
Yeah.
And that's very much certainly how we think of ourselves at Slerp, is we're a utility service that's helping the restaurants grow. Just like I basically copied the same model from our DoorDash days about how we approach this, because the brand is the restaurant. That's the thing that the customer wants.
Yeah.
That's the food. That's the experience that they want. And we're just enabling that, not trying to be the front-facing, all-encompassing brand that everyone's really excited to use.
It's a bit of ego, I suppose, isn't it? Almost, whether it's deliberate or not, but it is a bit of ego that plays into it when the supplier sits in front of, I love the way you call it the pipes, actually, the way that the thing that the customer actually wants. I think that's riveting, and that you're enabling the customer to get there through various routes, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. And so, just for those listening, thinking about like what is Slerp, right? So we obviously power the online ordering functionality for restaurants, not as a marketplace, but as a back-end service. And then what we do is we plug that into delivery, courier networks to fulfill those orders. We also, have a loyalty platform that restaurants can use to, basically reward their customers, their most loyal customers. A CRM system as well that they can use to then, of course, track all that information and, retarget, and very much trying to find a way to help the restaurant engage best with their customer, because frankly, we don't want to be that brand. The restaurant is the brand. We want to enable them to do what they need to do to build a bigger and better business. And
does that come back to you, I suppose, in terms of the customers that you're working with? Recognize that the fact that actually you are, I wouldn't say consultative, but obviously if you're tech, you're not particularly, you can't be there 100% of the time, but you're really in that support network for them, enabling them to make more money, to grow their business.
I was going to say, man, you've taken the words right out of my mouth. I was one of the big things, particularly since I've joined. We were already doing this before, but I think having my consulting background combined with just my general desire, the way to approach this, I think we very much want to be the restaurant consultants, and we're not, just as one thing. Of course, our founder JP founded Crosstown Donuts.
As you can see, I'm a fan. Yeah,
man, we all are. It's a shame too, because Crosstown. I was
really hoping you'd turn up with donuts today, right?
This is what I was just about to say, is that Crosstown's offices used to be just below ours, and they've recently moved out. In the last couple of months. Yeah, and so there's been a marked weight loss amongst the Slerp employee group cohorts. But
I love that.
Yeah,
tactical move. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to lose a few pounds.
Yeah, but so the point is that JP, we founded Crosstown with the desire. He founded Crosstown and then founded Slerp with the desire to basically help build this functionality for Crosstown. It was never going to be, Slerp as the big brand. It was purely just a service that Crosstown was going to use in order to better engage with their customers and build their business.
And proved it, right? I mean, that's absolutely the thing about, obviously, going through raises and investment and all that kind of stuff, that the proof in the pudding is key. And I think with Slerp that actually, a bit like Vita Mojo we were talking about outside, who had their own restaurant start. You guys have physically had real customers coming in and out your doors in JP's world, where Slerp was born, and has continued to do that, right, and follow that down the journey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, very, very much so. Yes.
And e-commerce in hospitality has become a thing, and
it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, and it makes me laugh, because I think some people didn't have that ability to build an e-commerce business out of their product, so they would sit there looking at what they had. Maybe I used to be on the board at Prime Minister, which was a restaurant chain up in the north, the southwest and up in the north, and creating an e-commerce business was easy. It was a singular product. We could put something online and we could sell it. We were doing it to all the grocery stores. But some operators don't have that ability, right? And they've had to innovate to be able to enable themselves. Are you also helping them support in that way, helping them build an e-commerce platform where they can actually go to market?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fundamentally, if you think about the restaurant industry, right, it's it's about the food.
Yeah.
I think we sometimes, certainly in hospitality tech, some people don't remember that all the time, right? It's not about the tech. The tech is enabling.
Yeah.
It's about the food. And so, from our perspective, right, like we've designed all of our systems. We've designed the online ordering experience and the UI UX with a restaurant customer in mind, not some retail, a la Shopify type customer or some other random, product that's not food, right? It's very much we design it for the restaurant customer. The back-end system that we built out is designed for the restaurant management. So that's that could be the GM, that could be the HQ staff if it's a large network, and then of course the delivery fleets that we integrate with to provide those deliveries out to customers. Like those are often food focused courier networks, and so it's very much about trying to build an e-commerce platform, not just any general e-commerce platform. It's a food and specifically restaurant focused e-commerce platform.
I love that, and I think. I was talking about someone earlier today about niches, about being in a niche and owning that niche and really understanding what you do from front to back and being the expert. It's almost like surgery, right? If you've got an issue with your brain and someone comes in and says, I can kind of do a bit of everything, I'm going to have a go at your brain in a minute. So, no, get me the expert. I just want the expert to work on my brain. It's the same in what we're doing here, right? And what you guys are attempting to do is that you're helping people with expertise in terms of front-to-back restaurant knowledge. You've got a bunch of people who work within Slerp who understand that. Like I know Tom Messett, I know JP, and obviously now you. And they understanding the fact that you are experts in that, and are they appreciating that fact? And is it helping them then grow quicker than they would do otherwise? Yeah,
absolutely. I think, fundamentally, this part of this is also just who we are as people, that we genuinely do want the best, and many of us have been either in the restaurant tech space or as JP, for example, and several other of our folks on staff who have hospitality background themselves, and so we genuinely just want the best for these partners that we work with, and we've actually shaped our business model such that we only succeed when they succeed, right? I mean, we're not like a SaaS platform where you're paying what you're paying no matter what.
Yeah.
We share in the success and also in the failure. So from our perspective, we do everything we can to help you and grow your business, and that's where it comes back to that consultative approach, where we want to do as much as we can to help you build your business.
Yeah, I love that, and I think with all the pressures everybody's facing, here comes the 3:45 train. With all the pressures we're facing, I think that financial model must work for these businesses, right? Because they look at it and they think, do you know what? There's only a win-win here for me. Right. And these guys, and they understand that, right? They understand that you guys are going to push to help them enable that. Yeah. And with that, you have lots of partners you can bring into the mix, right? So there's integration is something I talk about on a daily basis in this world. And I'm going to put my fingers there. You have integrations and then integrations, right? How are you working to bring Slerp into that kind of ecosystem where you can work with many partners and enable the other parts of the restaurant businesses they have?
Yep. No, I mean, fundamentally, right, we're trying to be a tech company.
Yeah.
And what that means is we need to use the services and integrate with the platforms that our partners want to use. And so what does that mean, in terms of the point of sale systems, in terms of the integration layers that sit between them and the rest of the e-commerce world? We have all the standard integrations that, pretty much everyone would expect that they already have with their delivery marketplaces, for example. It also means that the courier networks that we integrate with are, the courier networks that we do integrate with are some of the best certainly in this country, and I would argue just generally for food delivery, the best in the world. Uber Direct as an example, obviously Stewart. I mean, these are not just ramshackle partners that we're working with, right? Yeah. These guys have tons of engineers sitting around thinking about how do I best optimize my deliveries to the second, right? I don't want to waste a millisecond of a driver standing around waiting for an order. It's not in their interest, because it means if they can do those deliveries more efficiently, then actually they can reduce the price to the end consumer, and everybody benefits from that. So, that combined with, just generally like some of the other back-end integrations, like with payments and things like that, I think it's really important that we use the best technology for whatever it is. We want to be the specialists in things like, the online ordering and delivery. And so that means we need to use the best.
Yeah, I love that. I'm an advocate of the best in class. Everyone knows that. I think if they listen to this regularly. And what about revenue? Because building an e-commerce platform or build online ordering or delivery, whatever you want to talk, there's the operators have been stung by margin dilution, right? By some of the aggregators and some of the way that these businesses just set up. So that's led them to innovate on different product, whatever it might be. How are you guys helping them, I suppose, make that extra cash? I mean, are you seeing, I suppose, in your numbers already, are you seeing some great jumps for people?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't obviously get into specifics, but
that's cool.
But what I can say is that, just at a starting point, if you look at the delivery marketplaces, and obviously I come from that world, so I know it very well, but well north of 50% of orders on delivery marketplaces are not incremental, and that is the message that is obviously that is what's being sold. And delivery marketplaces, just for the record, are excellent services by providing incremental transactions.
Yeah.
But I'm sure from your own usage of the platforms, and certainly I know from my own, that half the time I go on, I already know which restaurant I want to order from, and so the reason that delivery marketplaces have been so successful is because restaurants haven't had the capability to do anything on their own. They don't have tech teams. They don't have massive, groups of engineers just sitting around waiting, thinking about building an online ordering system. That's not where they spend their resources. What they do need is basically somebody to come in and say, hey, we can help you build your online ordering platform for you. We can help you run this entire e-commerce business and plug it into delivery, and the experience is going to be just as good as the delivery marketplaces. And if we can do that, there's no reason that those customers who, were previously ordering on the delivery marketplace can now, go straight to their favorite restaurant directly. Because, by the way, that means they can get better they can get the loyalty points. They can have a, deeper interaction with the restaurant and support, potentially that local restaurant or if it's just their favorite, chain brand. And it also means, obviously restaurants can find, financially, it's obviously better for the restaurants to pay, far less money for that power user that they're otherwise farming out.
And it's their shop window, right? This is
exactly
what I suppose annoyed me for a long time with delivery, especially as an operator when I was running a restaurant business, that actually it's my business, right? I know I've got to pay you for service, I get that, but the margin was huge, and we weren't paying anybody else that kind of margin for anything else supporting externally. And I think that it's almost like your billboard in your hand, that shop window to your business, and the fact that you had to sit alongside 60, 70 other people scrolling on an app becomes, you get lost a little bit in the marketplace. So I think it's absolutely crucial. I've got a few friends who run dark kitchens. Yep. And one of them is a Slerp customer. Nice. He's a good friend of mine in Cardiff. And the advantage for him going direct is absolutely huge. Especially because it's D2C, is absolutely huge for him. And not just that, the data they get from those transactions, because we don't get data off the aggregators.
I was going to say that's the other thing that's really missing, right? It's the data element that the aggregators won't give it to you, and there's a good reason, because for them it's their customer, right? They're ordering on their platform, right? It's their shop window, and in the case of when you order direct, you need to have that data if you're going to do anything to try and retarget this customer. If you're going to try and obviously give them loyalty points, how you find a way to be more sophisticated in driving incremental transactions requires a level of depth in data that you're just not going to get unless you do it yourself. Yeah. And that's, obviously that's a core motivation for a lot of partners that use us is, the access to so much data that they're able to generate by leveraging the Slerp CRM system and the loyalty platform that we help spin up for our partners.
And I think it's the one thing that keeps coming back to these conversations I have, whether it's an operator or a supplier in the chair over there, that actually the data side of things has become huge, especially the last 2 years, because everyone's starting to actually get quite a lot of data, but actually managing it and knowing what to do with it becomes quite tricky, especially if, like you say, if they haven't got the resource to do it, it becomes a problem. But also absolutely crucial, right? Because it helps you target the right customer at the right time rather than just blanketing people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, you'd be shocked at how unsophisticated some marketing efforts are.
Probably not, but
yeah, fair enough. I mean, but to be fair, right? Like, this is not exclusive to the restaurant industry. That like we all have some apps that will send you push notifications seemingly at like okay times, but like sometimes you'll I won't name the names, but like I'll be in a ride sharing company vehicle, and during the ride, I'll get a notification saying, "Would you like to order a ride?" Like, man, I'm already in here. Like, you got to think a little bit deeper than this. But I think that's the thing that for us, it's really all about developing that sophistication. And I'm pretty confident that people in the restaurant industry, they certainly have the intellect to make this work. I think they lacked the capability to build it themselves.
Yeah.
Which obviously it's those tech resources are just not as widely available to go in house.
Yeah, and operators are problem solvers, right? That's what
Exactly.
they do. They things happen on a shift, they fix it. And I think if they had that capability, they'd probably just build their own tech. Some of them already are, right?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Many of them already are, and I think that we're very happy with that from the standpoint that our system. I mentioned a whole bunch of different services that we offer, but it's all modular, and so there's a handful of very large enterprise partners in particular who tend to have at least some semblance of an engineering, if not in fact a fully fledged team. And so what they'll use us for is potentially just that plugging into the delivery network.
Yeah.
Because we have those relationships. Obviously, we have the pipes as I described earlier that like will push out these orders to the delivery networks. And so from there, right, they can just use that. They have their own loyalty. They have their own CRM. They have their own online ordering front-facing consumer experience, and we're super cool with that because at the end of the day, the whole goal is like, how do we help restaurants just build their in-house business?
I love that, and I think that's someone was likening it to before. In 2007, the iPhone came out, and you had the App Store for the first time in your hand, and you're looking at all these different things you can do, and they just seamlessly work, right?
Yep.
Most of the time on your phone, right? They just seamlessly work. And I was saying, how long will it be till we can go to the best-in-class people like Slerp, for instance, and say, right, in our marketplace, and say, what can we plug into Slerp? What can Slerp help us to get to? Even if we only take one of your features or two of your features.
Right.
I think it's an absolutely fascinating journey. We're probably not even halfway through, right? I think there's a long journey, isn't there?
Yeah. I was certainly not. I was going to say, like, we haven't even talked about like the mobile ordering. I mean, you just mentioned phones, right? Like, mobile ordering. As things have grown, obviously, delivery is a huge piece of our business, but we're seeing, 80% of our orders are mobile.
Wow.
And that's a combination of mobile web and just the apps that the white label apps that we provide to restaurant brands. And sort of the strategy behind that is obviously like we believe that mobile ordering is only going to increase in volume. Right, 80% for me is actually quite low. I expect it's going to be higher and higher in the next few years. And at the end of the day, the strategy behind that is it's obviously more convenient. In terms of time savings, right? I mean, you walk into a restaurant for pickup, you can just pop the order on your phone.
Yeah.
Done. Then of course, there's the element of loyalty, right? It's wherever you go, you've got your loyalty with you. So whether you've dined in, whether you've picked up, whether you've ordered delivery, it's all in the same place.
And loyalty is funny because in the past, I think loyalty hasn't worked on the full system. So maybe it worked at pickup, maybe it didn't work. Well, maybe it worked in-house and pickup. Maybe it didn't work drive-through. Maybe it didn't work
That's right.
e-commerce. So that is another. And I think some of the operators maybe been burnt on that or are stung on it or whatever. Or customers actually, haven't been on a great journey. You think of the Tesco's and McDonald's who've got great loyalty.
Right.
But that's something you're fixing, right? So they can have the full ecosystem of touch points within a business and still pick their loyalty up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where this customer is ordered from. It can be they could have walked into the restaurant and they could have ordered verbally to the cashier.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We can power that loyalty experience where you scan the QR code and boom, there you go. And just to follow up on that, the last sort of piece to why mobile is so important is also just that marketing piece that we talked about earlier, right? I mean, it's this wonderful device that you've got in your phone all the time that push notifications, SMS, other obviously email. Everyone has that on their phone too.
Yeah.
So. Frankly, you've got it all there. It's all in your pocket. I mean, I was chatting with somebody earlier about kiosks.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, like, man, like, why do restaurants use those anymore? Like, I've got a kiosk that you as a restaurant don't pay any maintenance for, and it's sitting in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I can do everything.
I know who that was. That was Adam, wasn't it? And I think, yeah, because no, and I agree. I think walking into that environment where there isn't a queue of people hanging around at a weird totem pole,
Right.
which is basically what they are. They're just like, we're like trained lemmings sometimes. We just go in and follow each other, stand at the thing, press the buttons. I mean, life, Jesus, must be more fun than that. And I think, you're right. We have all the tools in our pocket where we can do that as we walk up to the property.
Exactly. I mean, one of the things that, I have to mention, of course, that we won this award earlier this year for Restaurant Marketer and Innovator Award.
Yeah,
for
the
Best
RMIs.
Technology.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Specifically regarding the press pay functionality on the mobile app, which basically allows you to repeat an order extremely quickly. You basically just tap, you sort of long hold the app logo on your phone, on your home screen, and then it pops up a little menu, and you can just say repeat order, and boom, click.
Wow.
It's
because we are creatures of habit, right?
Exactly. It's perfect. I mean, this is sort of born from JP with Crosstown that it's donuts and coffee, and that tends to be a daily ritual.
Yeah.
And we have many similar businesses that are using Slerp that thrive with this functionality, where it just enables repeat orders. So somebody just goes boop boop, quick, couple taps, and they walk in. Food's ready or coffee's ready, and they walk out. All integrated.
It's almost like routine or mobile ordering, isn't it? It's that kind of behavior that, like on a Friday night, my family will have a treat of some sort.
Right.
But it generally is the same.
It's
We're pretty sad. We really don't change it up much. I'm going to change it up this Friday now. I've said that. But humans are creatures of habit, right?
That's right.
And I think that those simple things. That's why we love tech, because people like you or your team look into that and say, right, where can we do something that will then make the order process easier for the human and actually our end easier to control and manage, right, for the restaurant end, because they know they're going to get repetitive orders from that customer and then reward that customer for doing that.
Exactly. This is, the fundamental, if I come back to what is the fundamental problem that Slerp is solving, it's that there are so many frequent customers of restaurants that up until recently did not have the means to order from their favorite restaurants directly. And so they were, of course, forced into the marketplaces because marketplaces gave them that opportunity. And that's what I mentioned earlier about how, north of 50% of these orders are not incremental because I'm already, I'm going on my phone.
Going anyway.
I'm going anyway.
Yeah.
I know what I want. I know what my wife wants. Like, I'm probably hitting the repeat order button on those delivery marketplaces.
Yeah.
And by the way, I remember when we rolled that out at DoorDash, and it was super successful for a reason.
Yeah.
Because you wanted exactly the same thing. And so, I think that realization, certainly in my time at DoorDash, was what sort of drove me to really get excited about the opportunity for Slerp, because there's just so much opportunity here. People want their favorite brands. They only want their favorite brands.
And if you had to percentagize, I suppose, what the people that have actually owned that task and now own, because I always talk about owning that, you own your customer. It sounds terrible, but it's your customer. It's not the marketplace's customer. It's yours. You should own that journey, own that data, make sure you deliver the same experience you would in-house online. And how far do you think we are? Like, if you had to percentagize how much of the market is really doing that really well?
You mean how many restaurants are doing that?
Are we halfway there or are we below? No.
No, way below half.
I'm just trying to work out how busy you're going to be.
Yeah, good. My wife too, by the way. She's thinking the same thing.
You better tell her 50, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Honey, the answer is like 90%.
Yeah, we're nearly there.
Yeah, we're almost
done. One
more
day.
That's right. I'll be home every day going forward. I think fundamentally, like I think we're still in the single digits. I mean, there's just so much opportunity, and even frankly, even the ones who are doing it well today, I think there's still a lot of just general improvement that can be made.
Yeah.
Part of that is going to take time, and technology is going to move forward, obviously, in the next few years in ways that we can't even envision right now. But fundamentally, I think we're really early innings. That I guess does that phrase work in the UK? Early innings, because baseball.
Yeah, it's baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, baseball. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, well, early in the journey, that'll do.
Yeah.
It works for me. I understood it,
Excellent.
so it works. And I'm a typical English person. And do you think? I suppose there's a bit of education to be done as well, because obviously there's a lot more talk around tech. Talking about RMI, where you won the award, it's that's very much focused around innovation, what's happening in the industry. Do you think we're doing it? Do people get it? Do you think? Yeah. I mean, I know there's different measures of that in enterprise business versus mid-market versus independents, but I think there's a bit of a journey to go on. We're early innings again there. Do you
right.
See, I'm learning.
Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you are. I'm going to get you all the American.
An early adopter.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get you on all the American catchphrases.
Thanks, man.
But no, I mean, I think, again, early innings. But that being said, like, I think a lot of people I think a lot of people understand that this is a problem. I think people maybe haven't quite seen that there is a solution because, obviously that's just an awareness piece for us to beat down the door. But, from my perspective, like, I think people are quite receptive. And most of the conversations that we have with whether it's enterprise, mid-market, or independent, I think everyone pretty much comes away with, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I should do my own ordering.
I agree. I think they're already there. I think they kind of know that, but it's the unpicking of what they've got potentially, right, and also the onboarding of what they want, and there's moving parts, right? Because the marketing side of it, the e-commerce side of it, the product side of it. So there's quite a lot of is it a lot of work to do for them? Maybe they're already doing it. I don't know, but I think it's a really interesting piece. I'm thinking of my dark kitchen man. He went straight to you guys,
right?
Because he saw you at an event talking, or not you, saw JP talking at an event, and he said to me straight away, he's the donut guy, right? And so and I was like, well, I think he has more to his life than that, but yeah. So
not that much more, no.
But the reason I always talk about this referencing point, and in the UK you'll find, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but a lot of referencing should go on between operators and what have you got, what works,
right.
What shouldn't I touch, kind of thing. So I think that happens a lot. I don't know if you experienced that in the US.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I was gonna, like, for us, it just flashback to the DoorDash days. Like the very first partner that we signed up was through a connection, and that was actually Yum Brands. It was Taco Bell with the Yum Brands, and then from there, all the other ones that came were, I guess, some method of connection.
It's almost like this nudge and a wink, going, "Oh yeah, they're there, go there."
Yeah. I mean, there was some cold outreach, but like it took a while.
I think it's the thing, and one of the key things you're doing is providing support, I suppose, because all that, we talked about the consultative process and the fact that you're helping. I mean, this is their lifeblood. This is their sales is their oxygen, right? So keeping them going. And how are you providing that support, I suppose, and actually doing that onboarding or support as they go through the product and as their journey continues with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are some, technology, platform services, whatever that you may use that, you sign up, you get an automated email, you fill out a form, and poof, that's it. Everything's uploaded.
I call it buy and run.
Yeah, yeah. You pretty much never talk to a human being ever again. I mean, good luck calling an account manager because there's no phone number and there's no account manager. But for us, no, again, kind of born from the fact that we know this is a people business, and so we very much, spend the time, obviously, doing the onboarding with real human beings. Obviously, many processes are quite automated, but that doesn't mean that there's not still worth having a human being. But the live ops, I think, really comes into play when we're talking about delivery. And I think this is a key differentiator for Slerp that, when delivery, when we say we do delivery and we integrate with delivery courier partners, now we actually manage these delivery processes. And what I mean by that is we have a team that's basically watching dispatch all the time, making sure that drivers are in the places they need to be, orders are not late. If there's a problem in the kitchen or if there's a problem with the driver, that we're finding a solution with the restaurant staff. And that's, there are other players in the space who will say, yeah, we integrate with delivery. And I'm not at all trying to be negative because it's not their focus, but what that really means when they say they integrate is they basically say, yeah, okay, like we can facilitate sending an order from online ordering to the delivery.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they can decide, like, okay, how do I choose the courier? And obviously
I was going to say, how much detail can you see, or how can you affect it?
Yeah, everything basically. So from our perspective, like the very first thing, we have an algorithm that helps manage our dispatch system. So when an order comes in, what we do is we have to figure out, okay, who do we send it to deliver?
Right.
And most other delivery integration software systems will basically just, they'll have one courier that they integrate with, or maybe they have two, and their logic of choosing which one is based on the price.
Yeah.
So they say, which one's the cheapest, send it to that one. But that does nothing to look at how effective that delivery is going to be. So yeah, I can do this.
Could be an hour.
Yeah, I can do this delivery really cheaply, but I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Like versus with
I know him.
Yeah.
He delivers to my house all the time.
But so we got to figure out which restaurants you're ordering from, and we get them signed up for Slerp.
Hey, Pete, let's get monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a problem there. But yeah, so what we do is order comes in, it goes into the algorithm, and we basically, automatically identify, okay, yeah, who's going to be the most cost effective, but at the same time, who's going to deliver the order to the customer on time.
Yeah.
And obviously, we have all the data and the metrics to back up that decision. And then on top of that, if something goes wrong in that process, so for whatever reason, driver is not showing up despite our best efforts, we have our team that will intervene and go in and basically take care of that delivery by assigning it to somebody else.
I think that's huge, right? Because again, when I went to Prime Minister, we built the delivery business and we didn't have it. So I literally went there and said, right, let's plug in Deliveroo. So we put it on. And the world of pain that I caused that day when I plugged that in, how the business ended up being 20% of the overall turnover. So, the delivery business was strong, but because it was a pie and that, they traveled, that strong casing, hold the temperature, travel well. But I think the logistics side, we just didn't even think about it. And we didn't consider the potential damage to our end user. Through lateness, through poor product, poor quality, communicate, even pick one.
Yeah,
exactly. So many moving parts.
And I have probably like almost too much color about this because of my DoorDash days. But yeah, I mean, delivery, it sounds simple, and sometimes I really wish it should be.
On paper it is, right?
Yeah, on paper it's like, hey, yo,
go there to there.
Yeah, go A to B. Like, bring them this. Like, it shouldn't be that hard, but it actually somehow.
You're not the only one ordering that night, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's you're not the only one ordering that night. Then there's okay, well, what happens when something goes wrong? Customer's unavailable, or something, the driver gets
whatever,
T-boned or something like that. I mean, exactly. Yeah. There's so many things that can happen, and then on top of that, there's all the back end stuff that has to happen. So the invoicing. The reconciliation for the accountants. I mean, these are sort of back office problems, but they're real problems. And so what we do is we basically take care of all of that. And so by aggregating all these delivery networks, obviously we help basically choose which driver it needs to go to, and we handle all the logistics and all the headache because restaurants, they've got bigger fish to fry, literally.
I love what you did there. Very good. And I remember my CFO at my last job, we used to have a weekly row around the Deliveroo invoices because they never matched what the till said. I mean, never. And I know, obviously, there's people fixing that, and there's different things going on, but it was just this constant. You just can't find the money.
It was the same. It was the same problem at DoorDash. Like it's to be fair, like it's not easy because there's too many things that go wrong, and when you do enough volume,
it's humans, right?
It's human beings, and so anyway, that's one area where we step in to help because it is just a nightmare if you.
It's just inefficient, right? I mean, A, you're losing money potentially somewhere because someone didn't press a button on the till, so the order just went out. B, someone could be stealing. And C, the CFO can't be tied up in 3 days worth of investigation around where a burger went because the reality is it's gone. No one's going to pay for it, and it's just a bit of balancing the books to find it. So I think they're the things that we don't really see, or when people are looking down at hospitality, they don't really see the nuances that are involved, the stuff, the nitty gritty you're getting involved in. I think it's absolutely huge in getting that right for the operator. And as you said, if you're an operator-led business with them at front and center in mind, that's where you'll have success because they'll appreciate that quickly.
I mean, I think that's the feedback that we've been getting, which is, obviously, we have JP, but it's not just JP. It's like everybody else in the business.
Give the man a break, man. It's not all about
it's not all about you, JP. If you're listening, it's not all about you. But the rest of the business, like we're populated with people who either came from hospitality directly or have been in hospitality tech in some capacity, like myself, obviously spending quite a lot of time at DoorDash.
Well, your experience is huge, right, for Slerp? It must be a real benefit just to have the mirror glass from what you were doing in DoorDash to what's going on with Slerp. And also that breadth of experience from where you've been and what you've done in your life. I just think worldly people help worldly products. I think that kind of experience can only do benefit.
Your words, Chris, not mine. I don't want to big myself up.
Stick that on a wall somewhere.
My wife's not going to be too happy with me. When
I've just returned home. I'm worldly now.
That's
Chris,
right.
Chris told me.
No, but you're to some extent, yes, you're right. Like, I mean, part of the reason that I think the Slerp team really wanted me to join was because of my delivery experience and given how big a focus delivery is for us as a business. Delivery, I think, and I'm McKinsey, just for the record, McKinsey Consulting shares this view.
Because I wrote it.
Potentially. No. And several other like major financial institutions believe this as well.
I believe you.
But the point is that delivery is going to be like a huge piece of the pie in the restaurant space. And that's already happened. The pandemic accelerated it.
I think there's another
level.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just think about like the fact that, you know, it's been less than a decade. Like that's the insane thing, right? Like you just told me like, oh, my worldly DoorDash experience, but like it's literally been
let that go now.
Yeah.
If I see that on a business card somewhere, I will not be happy.
I need to update my LinkedIn. No, but actually, like that, it's been less than a decade. Like it's really not come that far. And you think about, I think about my own parents who potentially are listening to this at some point in the future, and you know they live in Palo Alto, California, which is the home of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
That's where DoorDash was born. Their son, their firstborn son, myself, worked at DoorDash for 4 years. They have never ordered from DoorDash on their own. Like it has always been ordered by my sisters, myself, somebody else in their friend circle. I mean, and it's just a generational thing. Like they're not interested. And if I think about, you know, where does food delivery, you know, go from here? Obviously, you know, I think it's going to be mostly driven by the in-house. But I think overall, food delivery is going to be a massive chunk of the business.
Oh, I think it's changed socially. I think it's driven social behavior changes. I think there's the pandemic did lots of really horrible things, but did some really great things, right, in terms of the way people behave socially and encourage people to hang out together more, appreciate what they've got. And food is, I think you said at the start, it's all about food.
Yeah.
And food is the thing that makes us come together, right? It's the reasons families only sit down anymore. Otherwise, they never sit together. So I think food has changed the way we behave, and I think it drags people back into normality sometimes. And I think the whole scope of food now, as in all the different suppliers that are out there, all these great guys doing incubator programs in food halls. It's so exciting. Look at JP, what he built at Crosstown. I know it's not all about him, but he's a good example of someone with an idea that in food that did something cool. And I think that's happening every day, everywhere. And I think that's why delivery it's only going to get quicker and faster and bigger because there's so much to play for. I think it's really exciting. And and you're at the start of your journey, my friend.
That's right. It's early innings. It's early innings. Yeah.
Worldly and early innings. That's the more. So look, we've had a good chat. I can probably talk to you a bit longer. Actually, you're very nice.
Thank you.
What does it look like? I suppose that how long are you in? 3 months into? 4 months?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
So you're still you passed your probation. That's good.
Yeah, still green. Still green. Yeah.
But what does it look like? I mean, I suppose we can look at the near future, and obviously we talked about delivery in general terms is going to be huge, but yeah, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for us as a business, I think the couple things in the shorter term, I think one is just going to be stepping on the gas. I think on the commercial side, that is. So what has happened at Slerp so far is JP and our CTO Kai and obviously the rest of the team have built out quite an incredible amount of depth in our product. I'm actually, when I showed up, I was really impressed given the size of the company and given how long they've been at it. Yeah, I mean, it really blew my mind. I mean, we've got so many different platforms that, obviously the online ordering, pickup and delivery, the dispatch logic, mobile apps, loyalty, I'm not even mentioning things like table ordering. We've got some back-end service stuff for Composer, which is designed for like central kitchens. But so I bring that up just to sort of illustrate that there's so much that has been built where Slerp has not done as well as been educating the market and going out and telling partners, hey, we can actually solve this problem for you that you're experiencing. And so in the near term, what we're going to be focused on is going out and basically letting the world know that we exist and that we can help
Starting
you.
right here.
Sorry, this is day one. This is day one of the campaign. But and so from that perspective, I think a lot of greenfield just on that. Then looking forward, I think just generally a lot of larger enterprise businesses who have obviously started thinking about this, but haven't had the level of depth of conversation around how do I actually optimize my delivery. That piece, I think, is the longer term play, and really making sure that they're getting the best, almost delivery marketplace equivalent experience with their own channels.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and just in the long term, like I said, delivery is going to be so massive. Online ordering, through direct channels is going to be so massive. So from our perspective, like there's just so much greenfield in the UK. Eventually, that will leave the UK, or I shouldn't say leave, but cross the channel and potentially the ocean. And there's a whole world out there that we can help serve and solve a problem for, and that's what we're really focused on.
Love that. It's really exciting. I think delivery's been exciting and as you say, I mean, we talked about the iPhone before, 2005, whatever it was, or 2007. It's only 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's revolutionized the world, and there are still, people who remember before it happened, right? I mean,
needs to get rid of them so so we can get on with selling. But yeah, mum and dad listen to this going, thanks, son. But really interesting to meet you. I think you're a huge signing for Slerp. I think it's really exciting. And JP's picked well, but it's not all about him.
It's not all about JP. JP, it's not all about you, man.
So many edits. But really nice to meet you. Like, if people want to get hold of Slerp or you, how do they find you?
Yeah, good question. So obviously, you can just go to slurp.com, but Slerp is spelled SLERP.
Yes.
.com, and just
is that a thing?
So it's simple language enterprise resource planning. That was the
what
yeah,
is it?
Yeah. We don't actually use that on a day-to-day basis.
It doesn't really trip off the tongue.
No, but SLERP.com. And you can take a look at all the stuff that we've got over there, products. We are very transparent about our pricing as well, because we think that that's important given, I won't name names, but given some other players in the market, whether they be marketplaces or otherwise, being not so transparent. So we're very transparent with the intention of helping you guys out. So slurp.com, we'd love to chat.
Wow, lovely. Well, that's great. Look, you can find Slerp on the marketplace. Say Slerp. What was it? SLERP?
SLERP.
What does it stand for again?
Simple Language Enterprise Resource Planning.
He never told me that. Okay, great. Right. Understanding. I thought it was just a cool name.
It should just be a cool name, yeah.
Right, cool. But yeah, Slerp on the marketplace. You can find him there. And you can find Zal on LinkedIn probably if you want to stalk him.
That's right. Yes, that's true. You can find me on LinkedIn. Zal Dordi. ZAL, last name D-O-R-D-I.
Is Zal short for anything?
Nope, that's it.
Nice. Where's that from?
Short and sweet. Yeah,
I should have asked this at the start.
I was going to say this is actually, you want to get into long stories. This is a long. Maybe we should start over again. So it's so my parents grew up in India.
Right. Okay.
But actually my ethnic group, which we're only it's like 100,000 of us left in the world, but we originated from ancient Persia. They about 1,000 years ago immigrated to India. So my ancestors have been living in India this whole time, but I'm like genetically half Persian, half Indian.
Wait, there you go. Yeah. So you should always ask.
Yeah. Gotta ask.
Yeah. Right, brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. I'll let you get off into the Brewdog night and enjoy yourself, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, Chris. Really appreciate being here.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.